Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Let me just ask how to pronounce your name. Um, Charbel Habchi, or
Yes,
could you? Yeah, is that okay?
yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll start in around 5 minutes. We'll wait for people to arrive, and then I'll introduce you two, and then the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, Frank. Do you want to come up?
Hi, Katerina. Hi, Charbel. Yeah, interesting
Hello, hi.
topic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Uh, I actually have a question. Can I take a early start with asking my question to Charbel?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, did you say something? I think either my
Yes, sure. You can ask me if you would like.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can you say some thing more about the? I'm completely ignorant of the existence of the there's a electricity like a gradient in our atmosphere. I'm just like completely blank on that fact. Is that how strong it is, and in what direction? If there's a gradient, is it pointing upward or downwards, or and what causes it?
Yeah. So in the Earth's atmosphere, we have an electric field. So uh, it's if you measure it on flat surfaces, it is not that important. But it will be much higher on high prominences like tree branches. Uh, so it's a gradient is much higher on higher prominences. That's why like when spiders want to balloon, they will go to tree branches or high prominences, and then there where they will try to balloon. So the values depend on many factors, environmental like factors, on the weather conditions, and so yeah, so that's it.
Uh, Thanks. I don't know, Katrina. It's just me. Like the volume is really low for from.
Oh, I didn't realize some. Yeah, I think Trevor, your voice is very very low.
Oh,
We can hear. I didn't realize because I was um posting this on Twitter and so on that the room started. Could you try to speak again and maybe closer to the microphone?
okay. I'm using my earphones. I don't know. Now it's better. Do you hear me better now?
Yeah, we still cannot hear. Or it's just me, but I cannot hear anything.
Is it better now?
I don't know. Are you speaking with the headset or just free on your phone or computer? It must be on a very low volume, the
I was
speaker,
using
I
my.
think.
Now I'm using my
Now we can.
iPhone.
Much
Yes.
better.
Is better now?
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't realize. When you pin
Yeah,
and
sorry for that.
you don't see the screen or if somebody's talking, so I'm sorry about that. Hi everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Khalid. We'll start maybe another minute. We'll wait and then I think Frank was also asking a question, so I'm sorry if you have to repeat it, but apparently
Yeah.
we didn't understand. I'm sorry.
Yes. So the question was about the Earth's electric field. So the electric field in the Earth, so it depends on where it is measured. So if we take a flat surface, the electric field will be very small, and it will increase on high prominences like tree branches. So that's why like spiders will try to climb to tree branches or high prominences to try to balloon, where the Earth's electric field is much higher. So the value of this field will depend on many factors, mainly on the weather conditions and the locations and so on the geometry of the of where we are measuring the field. Is it so for example on flat surface the electric field would be like around 100 volts per meter, but it could be multiplied by 10 or hundreds if it is measured on, let's say, tree branches. Did I answer your question, Frank? So,
Yeah. So what is the cause of this E field, the gradient? Is it because of the? I know there's a magnetic field.
yeah, so it's like like when you have the thunderstorms and all these, so you have always electric charge in the atmosphere. So this is existing, and it will. So when you have like the thunderstorms, so this is like when you have very high gradients in the electric field gradient.
Okay, let's maybe start the room. It's already 9:04, and I'll introduce you to the audience, and then let's go from there. Is that okay with the both of you? Okay, so welcome everyone to the Science Society, and we are very honored to have two guest speakers here, Dr. Habchi and Dr. Jawed. And let me tell you a little bit about them. Dr. Charbel Habshi, he's an associate professor of mechanical engineering at the Notre Dame University, Louis, which is ranked among the top 5 universities in Lebanon. And his education joins energy and thermal sciences. He has a Master of Science and a Doctor of Philosophy and Mechanical Engineering. He has a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering. And he teaches courses in the Thermal Fluids Engineering track and supervises master's and PhD students. His main research interest focuses on computational fluid dynamics, fluid structure, interaction, heat, and mass transfer. Um, he, um, he he has a lot of different grants from Lebanese and European institutes. He published more than 55 papers in peer-reviewed journals, and he won different international awards, and he's currently working with different international collaboration, and one of them is UCLA, which led to this project that we will be discussing today. And let me introduce you to our second guest speaker, Dr. Khalid Jawad. He's assistant professor at the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering at the University of California in LA. And he did his bachelor in science and engineering physics at the University of Michigan, and also a bachelor in aerospace engineering at the University of Michigan. And he did his PhD in mechanical engineering at MIT, and in 2016. And he was a postdoctoral fellow at the Carnegie Mellon University. And yeah, as I said, now he's an assistant professor, and he is a mechanician with profound interest in potentially transformative impact of machine intelligence on the field of mechanics. And his career goal is a data-driven and artificial intelligent approach to the modeling and design of programmable smart structures. He envisions applications of machine learning algorithms and autonomous robotic frameworks to characterize, enhance, control, and apply the mechanical properties and instabilities of complex materials and metamaterials. And yeah, his hometown is Dhaka in Bangladesh, and he published also many um, um, publications. And yeah, so we are very honored to have both of you here. Talking, explaining to us your really very cool new paper. So thank you both, and the stage is
Just
yours.
wanted to say that I had to deep fake myself as Spider-Man just for the occasion. So PTR if you want to chuckle.
Oh yeah, I see. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, I don't know. Should I switch to the paper, or do you want to talk about the slideshow that we have up? Yeah, please let me know.
Yeah. So I can talk a little bit about the paper and what we have done, and then we can have a look on the animation on the YouTube video to explain what we have observed. Okay. So first, I would like to thank you, Katarina, for this introduction and for organizing this talk, and thank you everyone for being here with us. So, so even those spiders, they don't have wings. They were observed to fly hundreds of miles. So this mechanism of dispersal of these wingless spiders is known as ballooning. Ballooning. So during this process, the spiders will climb to high trees or high prominences, and then they will emit. So they will emit multiple fine threads of silk, which are electrically charged. And once the conditions are good for ballooning, so when the electrostatic force caused by the interaction between the Earth's electric field and the electrostatic charge on the silk threads, they will float through air. Then the wind will blow the spiders in the direction. So that's how they disperse. So scientists have been studying about this behavior since the 17th centuries. So the first was the Charles Darwin, who observed hundreds of spiders were ballooning and landing on his ship, the HMS Beagle, when he was like far from it was like about 60 miles offshore. and later on many observations were done. So there are two competing theories to explain the ballooning of spiders. So the first one, which was extensively studied in the literature, is that ballooning of spiders is associated to natural conduction currents, which are mainly caused by the thermal ascending air currents, which will lift or create a lift force, which will push the spiders up in the air. So this is the first theory, and there are many studies on this one. The other one, the second hypothesis, is that the ballooning of spiders is assumed to be caused by the electrostatic force. So this electrostatic force is caused by the Earth's electric field. So this electric field in the Earth is caused mainly due to the gradient in the electric potential between the ground level and the atmosphere, and also due to the changing magnetic field. So the interaction between the electric field and the electric charge of the spider's silk threads, this will cause an electrostatic force, so which will lift, so which will hypothesize to lift to create a lift force on the threads, which may cause the spider's ballooning. This is very similar to static hair, which occurs when our hair builds up an electric charge due to friction, causing the hair to repel in all directions. Now, very few consider this second hypothesis in the literature, especially from a modeling point of view. Most of these models were mainly based on simplified one-dimensional single threads, so very simplified models. Recently, in 2018, a group of scientists from the University of Bristol have done a lab experiment. So they put a spider on a prominence, and they generated an electric field inside the chamber, which they can control. And they tried to measure the speed of the ballooning spiders. However, their conditions on the electric field in the lab are much too higher than those in the natures, because they can better observe what's happening. So to summarize, in the literature, there is no investigations on a multi-thread spider ballooning process from a modeling point of view, neither on the effect of the electrostatic repelling force on the terminal shape of the threads and on the ballooning velocity. So what we tried to do in our paper is that, so based on Dr. Khalid Jawad, he worked a lot with dynamics of flagella and elastic filaments where he used advanced numerical tools. So in our paper, we adopted a model he used in his research, and we adapted this model by including the electrostatic forces and the Coulomb repelling forces. So we built a three-dimensional numerical model, which includes all the forces acting on the threads and on the spider. So we took into consideration the viscous forces due to friction with air, and the spider and threads weight and dimensions, and of course the electrostatic lift force and the repelling forces due to the Coulomb repelling force. So we performed a lot of analysis to explore the ballooning and the unfolding dynamics of the spider silk threads. So to do so, we performed a parametric study with large number of parameters, so that we have a complete overview on the ballooning process under different conditions. So for this end, we used an algorithm mainly developed by the computer graphics community. So this algorithm was, in fact, was used also in Hollywood movies like The Hobbit and The Planet of Apes. So it was used to model the dynamics of fur and hair. So why this algorithm? Because it's very computationally efficient and it could be used to run simulations with a large number of slender threads, like our case. So in the first, so we have a numerical results. We need first to validate these results. So we compared our data with those obtained experimentally and in the literature for experiments done in the lab under controlled conditions by scientists from the University of Bristol. So the comparison first showed a very good quantitative agreement, and then we moved to the parametric simulations by taking into consideration the large number of variables and conditions like varying the spider weight, number of threads, the values of the electric field, of the Earth's electric field, and the thread's electric charge and dimensions. So all these parameters, we were measuring the or calculating the ballooning velocity mainly, and also are interested in the terminal shape of the threads. So first we obtained an empirical results for the terminal ballooning speed and for the lift force. So we can use our results to quantify what would be the ballooning speed under given conditions. And the main conclusions we have obtained are that mainly the electric field is responsible for ballooning of small spiders, even in a normal Earth electric field without the need of any additional raising air currents. However, for larger ballooning spiders, which are rarely observed to balloon in nature, but in rare observations we found like one type of large spiders who were able to balloon. So for this type of spiders, our results show that they could not only rely on the electrostatic lift, so they would need some push from the rising hot air currents. In addition to that, we highlight quantitatively the importance of the electrostatic charge in the which is in the threads to create the repelling forces so that the threads will be repelled and they will form a 3D conical shape, which explains what the scientists were observed in the literature. So this repelling is caused by the Coulomb repelling forces due to the same electric charge in the threads, and this will avoid the entanglement between the threads. So this model and the study we have done would help, for example, in designing in the future maybe new types of ballooning sensors and probes, which could be used to explore the atmospheric properties without the need of any large engines or motors. So it could be like if we imagine building a small, tiny sensor which can balloon under the electrostatic forces. Now in the future, we would like to perform experimental measurement in real world by taking into consideration the different environmental conditions, mainly by measuring the value of the Earth's electric field during the ballooning and other conditions like humidity and how these can affect the ballooning of spiders. Now, many questions still need to be answered. So, for example, we still don't know exactly what are the values of the thread's electric charge. So how can we measure these values, these electric charge, so we can better quantify what is the required electric
the Earth's electric field for ballooning. And also, in our study, we considered two cases. The first case is the charge were uniformly distributed on the spider threads, while in the second case, the electric charge is localized at the tip of the thread. So these are also two hypotheses in the literature. So we still don't have a clear answer about whether the electric charge is uniformly distributed or it will be quickly localized at the tip of the threads, because this would affect this has an effect on the ballooning speed and even on the final shape of the threads during the ballooning. And also we have we don't know yet how the spiders can control the direction in which they balloon. So we know it's due to the wind, the air wind, but can they control this by, let's say, increasing or decreasing the length of the threads or the number of ballooning threads? So still have many questions to answer, but so this is always an open subject for research. Now, if you open the YouTube link, we have some animations
Okay,
showing the
well,
yeah.
I will put it up 1 second. Okay, should be up now. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so we can skip the abstract and the text to second 23 seconds, where we show the results first for ballooning with only 2 threads. So if you go to second 23, so this is an example showing how the spider, which was initially on the ground level with the threads vertical threads, and we can see how the spider is moving upward while the threads are repelling due to the Coulomb repelling forces. So this is the first animation with 2 threads. Now, the second one, which follows, is an animation with 4 threads, which shows like a conical 3D shape for the threads, which are repelling until reaching a steady state shape. And finally, we have done simulations with 8 threads. So the process is very quick. The repelling is very quick. So this was a challenge for us during the modeling process to model this the fast unfolding dynamics. And so we have two observations. First one, the ballooning occurring only due to the electrostatic forces, and the second one, the repelling of the threads, avoiding the entanglement, and thus giving this 3D conical shape, which was observed in the literature. So I can leave now the floor for Khalid. He can add more explanations if you would like.
So I just had a question. So there were some discussions in previous models about the spider webbing playing a part in this. If I understand correctly, you're only saying that the legs of the spider play a part here. Is that an accurate understanding?
I'm sorry, I did not really understand. So you said that. Can you please
Yeah.
repeat
So I
the
thought
questions?
so. Some previous models that I have come across before talked about the spider web being used kind of like a fishing line, and it helped perhaps amplify this sort of effect. Your model seems to only, if I understand it correctly, seems to only address the legs playing part in this electrostatic lift process. Um, have you considered how the webbing itself could be implemented? Because some spiders, like baby spiders, for example, just launch a certain amount of webbing, kind of like a kite, except there is no kite at the end. And then they kind of use that to lift off. And I suspect it probably adds to your model. But have you considered this or discussed it, investigated it?
Yeah, exactly. So there are some studies showing that the spider web gets charged electrostatically, and so charging is caused. So when you have the web and the wind blowing across the web, this will have friction. So this will charge the web, and this will attract more insects. So this is very similar to what we have done. So in our model, the threads, the silk threads, which are ejected from the spider, they will get charged due to friction with air, and this is the same process. So our model can be completely exactly used for the same purpose. So we can model charged web and how they interact with incoming insects, for example. So this is the same. Yeah.
That, that, that's fascinating. I personally hate it when spiders fly across, so understanding it will help me better avoid perhaps some of these collisions. I know if you're walking through a forest or something, sometimes this can happen. In terms of areas where this happens, you said you wanted to do live tests, or I guess field tests, or some sort of more experiments. Where do you see those next experiments happening? Is it perhaps around electrostatic events like thunderstorms, or are there other localized areas, perhaps or localized phenomena or other conditions that you're planning on investigating?
Yeah, so according to what the literature and what we have observed from our results, so the best way to observe these events would be like in during calm weathers when the wind is at very low speed, because this was observed when spiders were observed to balloon. The air speed was very very low, and we have to be in areas where there exist high prominences like tree branches where the spiders can climb, so they can benefit from the higher earth potential gradient. Now, thunderstorms and this will lead to higher levels of electric field in the atmosphere. So this could help the ballooning process, of course. But this does not require to have this much, how to say, high values for ballooning, because the spiders were observed to balloon even in calm weather days. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Khalid, would you want to add something to the presentation?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Katerina. Very much appreciate it. Um, I would like to kind of mention that I think the paper kind of opens up more questions in a way than it answers, because now all on a sudden we know that there are so many different parameters. Some spiders can balloon without help from the wind. Some spiders cannot do that. So what's exactly happening? So we really need to do real world experiments. But personally, I'm very excited about its prospect of using its prospect of biomimetic its prospect in biomimetic soft robots. So, and if we can build simple sensors and robots that can mimic spiders, that will be really cool, because it looks like it is kind of exploiting Earth's electromagnetic field, and and I don't think of any robotic application where this energy, if you will, is being used. We use wind, we use hydropower, we use solar energy, but we don't really use the electromagnetic field. So it'll be really cool. I'm not sure how that'll be done. It's probably several years down the road, but I hope that eventually we will learn how to use this.
Well, it sounds like there might be an application for some sort of atmospheric monitoring where you could have a bunch of airborne kind of floating sensors distributed throughout. And that would be a very interesting application. Although the harnessing of such electrical energy sounds very much like a Tesla revival, Nikola Tesla. So that's also very exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting, but we don't really know exactly, like, let's say how a spider controls its altitude and how it changes its direction and all of that. So without understanding that properly, I think we have to still keep doing a lot of research, and after that, once we fundamentally understand, okay, this is how spiders are doing it, maybe we can try to exploit it. Or another option would be just try a few different things and like come up with our own control strategy. But spiders are, the thing is that spiders are very lightweight, so in a very lightweight body, looks like there's a great deal of intelligence embedded. So that's very cool.
And in terms of simulations, what kind of software did you use, or what kind of software packages like MATLAB, Console, or I'm just curious for some perspective.
So I'll talk about the simulations. So we use an algorithm called discrete elastic rods, and this is not a software that you can just buy off the shelf. It is something that we have codes that we had to write, and some of those codes are available on GitHub, and I'll be happy to share the link with anyone who's interested in who's interested.
Yeah, would love to
Um,
take a look. I'll DM
yes,
you in the back channel.
yeah, sure. Um, so it's very important. One thing to keep in mind is these are really long threads, and there are multiple of them, and there are multiple different types of forces that are acting on them. And very importantly, the shape of the spider silk, that is changing with different forces like aerodynamic forces and electromagnetic forces. And there is a two-way coupling here. So the shape of the threads, the silk threads, that depend on the external forces, but at the same time the external force that also depends on the shape of the thread. It's kind of like, your hair. uh, if you're walking down, if you're in a windy weather, then because of air, the shape of your hair will change. But at the same time, how much drag you're experiencing, that will depend on what type of hair you have, right? And how the shape of the hair is looking like. So capturing all of that is, well, I mean, in summary, it's very difficult to capture all of these things, especially if you want to do parameter sweeps. If I want to run simulations of thousands and thousands of different types of spiders, which is what we did, we have to run them real fast unless we want to use supercomputers. We actually ran all the simulations on a regular desktop computer, and for that we need fast simulation tools. So that's why we borrowed tools from the computer graphics community, as Charbel mentioned, to simulate hair and fur and other filamentary structures in Hollywood movies. uh, Oftentimes, discrete elastic rods is a simulation tool that is used. And so, for example, the hair and fur of the hair and beard of Grandaf in Hobbit, for example, those are simulated, right? They're done using this software, and we took their help. We borrowed the simulation tool, then we augmented the simulation tool to include things like electromagnetism and Coulomb repulsion forces and so on, and then finally we simulated this flight of spiders.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please go ahead. I think Frank had before a question, and yeah, flash your mics if you have a question and go ahead.
Yes. I earlier asked the background knowledge of the atmospheric electricity field. I did a Google just now and learned some facts, and just to double check that I got it correct. So essentially, according to the literature on the web, uh, how authority that is, I think it's probably correct. That
I
uh,
didn't get any of
whether
that,
any
so I'm not sure if it's
thunderstorms
just
are
me.
the
Oh
the,
yeah,
the
I
thunderstorms are like battery.
Frank, we couldn't hear you. You're like in the
You
matrix.
sounded like you were in the Matrix for the last 90 seconds. Maybe try going off Wi-Fi. I find there are sufficiently many dead spots with Wi-Fi, such that
Sorry.
sometimes moving a foot to the left or right can fix reception. But if you're on Wi-Fi, maybe try disconnecting for a moment, and then because we couldn't
Uh,
hear what you said.
how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Cool. The thunderstorm is like battery driving the electricity current. So in the fair weather air condition, the ground is negatively charged, and so then apparently it repels the anything negatively charged. For example, the spider silk. So if that's correct, then have you done like experiments that say you have a make a balloon or something similar like artificial threads negatively charged and see if that can also airborne? Also, a question regarding the comparison with the other uh, hypothetical model of just by air dynamics. The other the two forces, how do they compare? I do read a little the start of the paper that there seems to be biological pointers to the uh, sensors of the electrical field. That's very interesting. How the is it so that basically so for the two models it basically says one for the electricity then uh, I mean the spider will avoid rainy weathers, right, to airborne, and for the mechanical fluid mechanics hypothesis, then it should have some kind of a mechanical sensor as well to sense whether there's wind for them to migrate by wind. Is that do I make sense? Do those questions make sense?
Yes, thank you for the question. So first for the experiments, we did not do experiments yet, but a team from the University of Bristol have done experiments in a lab. So inside a chamber, they created an artificial electric field, and they observed how, and they put a spider on a prominence, and they observed how this spider balloons. So they were able to measure the speed of the ballooning speed of the spider for different electric field values they created. So this was the only like experimental observation or quantification of the spider ballooning speed for with known uh, electric field in the atmosphere, which was artificially generated. And for the sensing of, so yeah, the spiders can sense the wind, so they have sensors that they can sense the air speed even at very low speeds, and also they can sense the electric field in the atmosphere. So this was also done in an experiment by the same team, where but here there is a debate that the uh, how the spider can differentiate between air speed or an electric field, because these sensors, it's like a very tiny hair on their legs, and under very slight wind, this hair will like oscillate, but it will also oscillate under the effect of the electric field in the atmosphere. So there is a debate how the spider can differentiate whether he's sensing wind or it's due to electric field. This is not clear yet. And for the question about avoiding rainy days, when you have, even if it's not rainy, if it is humid, so when the weather is humid, the silk threads, they will not charge, because to have like efficient charging process of the hair or of the silk threads, we need to have dry weather. So so that's why ballooning spiders were observed mainly during calm days and dry weather.
So I have a question. So in trying to sort out this differential of how do they know, where do they start and where do they go? I understand they start high and then they go lower because that's just physics, but are they going somewhere? Like, what is the objective of this travel?
Yeah, so that's how they disperse. So spiders will like when they will float in the air at very high altitudes, and then they will be blown by the air wind in the direction of the wind, and this could be in hundreds of miles. So they were observed to travel hundreds of miles, and this is a very important for their survival and for their dispersal uh, process.
That's
Hundreds
awesome.
of
Why did
miles.
the
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. Why did the spider surf the wind? Because it could.
Yeah, that's amazing how they can like travel very long distances without any wings, just due to
Do they have
the
travel
state.
insurance for that or what?
I'm
So
curious about the. Oh, go ahead, Frank. Oh, thanks. Just quickly. So, from what I gather is my impression so far is the spider travel mostly by fluid dynamics of the air. Then the electrostatic serve as a oscillatory. I mean, secondary might help in some for some specific evolutionary survival purpose, but not uh, not a must-have, right? So, is that fair?
so the electrostatic lift is very important, so they can float in the air. So it's like once they can float under this lift, the electrostatic lift force, then they will travel according to the air wind. But without the electrostatic force, they will not be able to float in the air. So it's like say a hidden engine, which makes them fly, and then the wind will direct them into so it will disperse them depending on the wind direction.
I see. So
But they still do that.
then the
Yeah.
competing theory to delineate here is the lifting force, right? So whether it's by upward convection air current or by your electrostatic like ballooning force, how does the two compare? If I'm imagining if there's already wind, then there's already air current. But if in order to travel a long distance, I think electrostatic would actually be more plausible. I don't know. I mean, are there like these experiments seems not very hard to do. I mean, it's just like mimicking the so as Eric alluded to, the we can even farming this electricity, right, of the atmosphere if just naive, simple experiments like static charge balloon, say a flat sheet of plastic, for example, and made a balloon, and if light enough, it should float, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there are some observations done in nature and in the real world where they measure the rising air currents, which were very negligible. But even though the spider was able to float, then a very slight wind, because the spider is very light, so a very slight wind, it will drive the spider uh, in the horizontal direction. But the vertical rising was caused even in the absence of any upward wind. So so this is due to the presence of the electrostatic uh, field. Uh, so yeah, this could be done. So as observation, but to quantify really to measure to have a quantitative experiment, this would be like a little bit tricky to do because it's a little bit. So how can we measure the electric charge, for example, of the silk threads, so that we can evaluate the electrostatic lift force? So we need to measure the value of the silk charge. So this could be done. So but it needs some like uh, uh, devices or measurement tools.
Thermal imaging, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, this could be also interesting. So observations are already done, but quantitatively speaking, it needs more investigation.
Is there any insight into the mechanism of the initial charge separation and what's actually generating the field?
Uh, you mean why is what are the what makes the silk threads to be charged?
Yeah, is there some type of redox going on, or how does charge build up?
Yeah, so when the spider is ejecting the silk thread, so while moving in air, you will have a very rapid friction. So this friction will mainly cause. So this is one cause of charging the silk threads.
I have a really technical question. What's the time difference between when they deploy them and when they are airborne?
So the deployment of the silk threads is very quickly in milliseconds, but they will not balloon. So they will wait until the conditions for ballooning. So they have the sensors on their legs. So they will sense uh, the uh, the conditions, mainly the electrostatic field and the wind conditions. And when they find that these conditions are like good for ballooning, so they will release more threads to balloon. So first they will release few threads, and then once the conditions are uh, okay for ballooning, so there will be. So this could take a few seconds before they can balloon.
These events, did they take place in a certain period of time? I mean, in terms of months of the year?
So to my knowledge, the ballooning happens on calm weather days, so when there are no much winds, and when the weather is relatively dry weather, not very humid. So depending on the region where these spiders exist, so this depends also on which months, on which day.
How many parts of the world has this phenomena been observed, or what's the distribution geographically on the world of where types of spiders exist and where they do this?
So from what I have read on ballooning spiders, this was observed in different areas, like in Australia, in Africa, even in the States. So it's like on large scale.
I see. I mean, I'm just thinking of, if they're traveling in order to increase the range of their territory, or however you might want to look at it,
Yeah, exactly.
it's going to happen. It's going to happen at a different time in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Mainly they balloon for the dispersal, so they will they disperse to get more territory. But I have not a lot of information about when exactly this is done. But this depends on mainly on the weather conditions and on.
I have a question. Is are plants with seeds, dandelions, these seeds that have also very thin threads and fly around very long distances? Is it a similar mechanism that is being used, or is it very different, or is nothing known about it?
Uh, honestly, I don't have a clear idea about this, but it might be due to electrostatic forces. Uh, but I can't like give an answer like what is causing this.
Let's consider this. The history of each organism. Isn't a dandelion older than an arachnid?
I don't know. Dandelion is a bunch of flowers together. I don't know when they
Just from in terms of
evolve.
complexity of the organism, I'm thinking that the plant is older than the more complex organism.
Yeah, but they could still, nature uses similar mechanisms in different stages of evolution, different families of species. Let's say you have reptiles that already were flying, and then you have mammals like bats that fly, and the system, like the anatomy is different, but the mechanisms of using, physics is the same.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. That's why I was
Okay.
looking at which organism has existed longer.
This is Z. I just raised my hand because I think it was about 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I was outside on my porch, or I was inside looking out at my porch, and I was like, wow, I see all spider silk because I could see it looks like rainbow, the spider silk. So, and I was like, wow. And I went outside and I thought, wow, I think they're flying today. And I don't even know if we have those kind here in Massachusetts, but the spiders were definitely out. And I do believe that um, uh, part of their emergence would happen at the same time where there's, they have to eat. So everything is really synchronized in nature, like the emergence of different um, insects and animals happen because they have to eat each other too. So the prey has to be available for success, is what I'm trying to spit out. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
because dandelions are 30 million years old, and spiders in general are 400 million years old.
And this is why details are important. Thank you.
I didn't know. It's embarrassing because my major was biology at some point back in time. So sorry.
Angiosperms are fairly recent, but maybe there's another example. About what Z said, that's such a problem. I'm thinking of toads. I can't recall exactly what their name is, that live underground and only, or just say earthworms. Earthworms come up when they feel vibration that maybe they sense. They're responding to that because, lucky for them, the vibration on the soil is rain. But for example, if people are walking or if there's a truck driving by, things like that could mimic the rain, and then earthworms come up and dehydrate. And the same thing happens with toads who are waiting all year for rains to come so that they can lay eggs and have little tadpoles and that. And they will die and lose a whole generation if that's in areas where people do like motocross in desert areas. There's been a lot of species decimation from motocross riding in areas that toads like that live. So they have to hope. We have to hope that they're hatching at the right time.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that. You really, right, because of course, I mean, right now too, the salamanders and the wood frogs are coming out here in Massachusetts to head to their prospective vernal pools, and the sound of the rain, of course, would vibrate the earth. And I just never really looked at it like that. The vibration, got down to that level. So thanks a lot, Victoria. That helped a lot.
Now comes the question: what is the earliest known plant that was flight capable? I don't
Uh,
know the answer to this.
for flight capable? Oh my god.
I mean, we said dandelions was 30 or 40 versus 400, but is that the first example of a flighted plant? I don't
Could be
know.
a tree.
You have the propulsion one that is pretty old, that those prehistoric
The
Like
ginkgo.
plants.
ginkgo, yeah. It would be, or
Yeah, so they have this propulsion system. So it's under a pressure
what is
basically.
it? Pollen? Does pollen count? Or does it need to be the seed? Because then you have bromelia, not bromeliads. I'm gonna think of
Ferns?
no, that I have to think. They're short. They grow so slowly. Cycads.
Yeah, I don't
It
know.
looks
So all the way back in time, actually crawling bugs used to do perform what bees are doing now. Like they are still flower types that actually crawling insects spread the pollen from one to the other. I was always thinking, in the worst case of bees die, which hopefully we will manage to avoid, can we just engineer all plants to be able to be pollinized by crawlers? Anyways, but this goes a little bit away from the topic, I think. But it would be interesting to see if plants use a similar mechanism, also from the perspective of what if all the pollinators die? Can we engineer plants that use a similar system? Um, do you think we could do that? Or are you planning in the very future to use this for engineering? I think you mentioned it a little bit in the end of your talk.
Yeah, so maybe Khalid can answer more about this because he works a lot with robots and
So could could you clarify the question again? So you're asking for robotic implementation of that
Yeah,
of
exactly.
what?
It's basically using free energy, right? It would be. Could you? Are you planning in some day in the future to use this technology to basically fly very small robots, battery free, maybe?
Yeah. So like there are certain components of this whole thing that we can potentially use. Well, first of all, let's admit that we are constrained by resources, so we can't like build this really long threads and try to let them fly, and hoping that FAA will not will create a problem that I'm flying random things in the sky, right? So there's that. But there are certain things that we can do. For example, I can try to scale down the system and see, can we use the, so there are a few cute techniques that the spider is using, right? For example, it is kind of exploiting the viscous drag, right? So there is a viscosity in air. If the spider silk is really small, if it's really thin, then there is viscous drag from the air. So it's kind of like my finger in honey, right? So if my finger, honey is viscous thread, and if I try to move my finger in honey, I will experience viscous drag. Now, at the really small scale of spider silk, they're really thin. To the spider silk, air is like honey, and that we kind of know. Well, not in by taste, but by mechanical response. So we can think about doing experiments with fishing lines or thin strings in viscous fluids like glycerin or something in the lab, and see, okay, can I use that to stabilize a robot, right? That this type of thing, I can clearly see that happening. One relevant example could be jellyfish, right? So jellyfish has really long tentacles, and I don't think we properly know uh, how exactly they're used in the control of the jellyfish, but clearly looks like they're very important. So there could be these applications, piece by piece application that we can think of. But I think, to be honest, we don't have a plan of like building a robotic spider that can fly in the sky using electromagnetic forces or Earth's electric current. I think uh, uh, better, if we are going to go after spiders, the legs of the spider, the web of the spider, and that and their application in catching food and other things could be even more exciting. So for example, the spider web is a very resilient structure, and that has a lot of applications. The legs of the spiders, they're very flexible and thin, but they never break, or they seem to be working perfectly. So there are a lot of other biomimetic components in the spider that I think can be more exciting from a soft robotics point of view.
I'm wondering though. I'm thinking through the mechanism of the charge separation. I wonder if you had a a solid polymer that carried the negative charges and a very low boiling point counterion that once exposed to the heat and the wind conditions could start to evaporate, leaving affecting the charge separation to some extent. I'm wondering if that's a direction that the engineering can go.
I think yes, definitely the engineering can go that way if there are these existing technologies that can be used. It's just that in our lab, I think we don't have the like similar technologies yet. It'll be just too expensive. Some of them will be like setting these things up will be a bit too expensive, but it's something in the future that we can think about exploring. But the broader engineering and robotic community, that they can, I would, I'll be very delighted if they explore this direction.
Um, I thought, yeah, Robert, or
Uh,
sorry, yeah,
can
did
can
you?
yeah. Can anyone explain me how actually spiders could fly? I mean, does it have anything to do with their body hydraulics or anything? And what goes behind their ability to fly?
Their aerodynamics, that's an interesting question.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
they? Don't they
aerodynamics.
just put out? Don't they just put out string in the wind until they have enough string that the string sort of just pulls them along?
So no, that was the whole point of Charvel's presentation. But yeah, if you want to shortly summarize for people that just arrived, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've been talking about two theories explaining how spiders can fly. So mainly by ejecting their silk threads. So these silk threads could, due to rising thermal air currents, they could be left, or due to the presence of electric field in the Earth's atmosphere, and knowing that these silk threads are charged. So this could also create a electrostatic lift force. So these are two competing theories. So what we discussed in our paper is that the electrostatic forces could be enough responsible for the ballooning of small spiders, which were frequently observed to balloon. Now, for larger spiders, these electrostatic forces might not be enough. So here comes uh, the role of the rising thermal air currents. So once these spiders can float in air, the very slight wind can push them in the wind direction because they are very light.
So I mean, does it have to do with opposite charge?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah,
how does electric field
because
work
the
here? Like, I mean,
the Earth's electric field has a is positively charged, while the silk threads are negatively charged. So you have opposite charge, which will push the spider upward. Well, what happens when you have the electrostatic hair when the so when you have friction with the hair will repel in all directions due to a similar mechanism.
Very, very interesting. It deepens the the genius design of spiders. I've been dealing with spiders for a long time, and they're very, very interesting.
I just found this link by Google. I shared in the chat room for this discussion. Yeah, so in there's actually amazing videos. Essentially this is a interview of the Molly's group that I think you also cited in your paper. The It's a quite interesting point that just now the other author acknowledged that there's for large spiders the electrostatic force will be not enough, right? So given that there had if that that means there's some threshold phenomena that has to happen both dynamically and biologically.
Yes, exactly. That's what we also concluded in our paper. So for because we did like a sweep parameter simulation, so we have a large number of parameters simulated, and we know from the simulations that for large spiders the electrostatic force is not enough. So here the rising air currents will help them to balloon.
Not to not to change the subject, but does anybody actually have any projects that create spider thread naturally now, mimicking the same way that they do it, or have we mastered this skill yet? Do we understand exactly how it works?
uh, I happen to go through a few articles here, but some of them they say that spiders can uh, uh, they can fly miles and across oceans and all. And if you say that they are like the very moment they start ballooning, and I mean, hardly they would be able to fly, and they would actually be, I mean, pulled back, or I mean, they would not be able to fly because of electric field of Earth. So there seems to be a disagreement here. So what is true and what is not?
Yeah, so spiders were observed to balloon very long distances. So, but this depends greatly on the weather conditions. So, the weather, we need to have like enough electric charge in the Earth's atmosphere. We need to have dry weather, low wind. So we have many factors intervening. So many in some occasions spiders will not be able to balloon. Yeah, but in many other observations they were observed to balloon for hundreds of miles. And this is very well known, documented in the literature.
Yeah, I wanted to check in with both of you. It's been like over an hour. Um, we try to aim to stay around an hour to be respectful of your time. Um, is it okay to take one or some more question, or do you prefer to um, to maybe come back another day and continue the discussion?
I'm totally fine. This is Khalid, and this is my first time doing this. I'm very excited very glad to have the opportunity to use this platform and give the question.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure hanging around.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
again for your
uh,
amazing Spider-Man picture. That's so cool. Yeah, go ahead, Varun. Sorry.
I mean, could you anyway relate this, you know, journey of spiders? I mean, which they could actually fly for a few meters with humans. Can we do that? We could, actually, jump or when I won't call it flying, but maybe we could jump for a few meters, right? So could we, anyway correlate this to humans as well because of maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not saying this right, but maybe the aerodynamics or what is the word for it? The acrobatics or something.
I wasn't sure about the question. Acrobatics and aerodynamics. Could you talk about the aerodynamics part? Like, what did you mean by that? I'm sorry.
What I said, you could jump, right? I mean, you could jump, right? So maybe, could you see any correlation between a spider, because it could actually jump for a few meters, right? I know for us it would not be possible for humans to actually fly for kilometers, but probably a few meters could be possible, right? Because if you could work on your body and
Yeah.
huh?
So I think we are
I'm
talking
not
about.
getting the word. What I'm not getting the word exact. What is the word for gymnastics and all that? Uh,
I'm sorry,
maybe
Varun.
some.
Oh well, you go ahead and answer the question.
Yes, so I think we're talking about kind of two different types of gait, if you will, here. So one is the ability for a spider to fly, which is what we analyzed, and then the other one is the ability of for a spider to walk around and make short-term jumps from one place to another. without any silk, right? So it can fly really long distances, like hundreds of miles, and it can cross continents using its silk. And then what we see in our everyday life mainly is the fact that spider can move around here and there, uh, like for a few moments or a few seconds, and it's a very agile structure. It is a very agile structure. It has a very agile structure, and it can make like these acrobat-like uh, movement. If we want to tackle this second question about its movement using its legs and so on, we will actually have to analyze a completely different dynamics here, which we haven't done yet. But of course, if we can properly understand the whole structure of the spider, we can potentially, like design robots and so on to do that. That will answer questions like, if my muscle power is this much and if my weight is this much, then I can move or jump this many meters.
Do you know how it is, or do the spiders sense the Earth's magnetic field? And are they using it deliberately?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, actually, right? I mean, that I do not know for sure. I don't think anybody knows. For example, or do some animals know before earthquake will happen? Uh, I don't know. I don't know if Charbel, do you have any comments on this? I think nobody knows for
So,
sure, right?
uh, if the question was about sensing the electric field, the Earth's electric field, or
Yeah. Do spiders know about the Earth's electric field that now is able to fly?
yeah, so there are some experiments done by scientists from University of Bristol, Morley and his colleagues. So they studied how spiders. So they have like very tiny hair on their legs. So they use this to sense according to their study, to sense the Earth's electric field. So they can know if it is sufficient to balloon or not. But other authors they have a debate because they said that this sensing cannot tell the difference between the electric field and very tiny and the wind. So it's like I, there is no way for the spiders to differentiate between the oscillations of these tiny hair on their legs, if it is due to wind or due to some sort of electric field. So that's from what I know.
Uh, I mean, uh, with this hair and all on the spiders, they develop this static charge, right? And because of this static charge and the electric field of the Earth, because of this being opposite, like you mentioned, that makes them fly, right? So maybe even humans could have this static charge, right? You touch any electronic appliances a lot, and you lot of static charge develops on you unless you ground yourself, or maybe you would actually touch something and it gets grounded, then this gets discharged. So let us assume a condition where you have a lot of static charge on you, and maybe you're trying to do a uh, acrobatic maneuver, right? And then because of this electric charge of Earth and the static charge that is there on you, and because this being opposite charges, it could actually push you further than the normal way that you could achieve. So that maybe that is a correlation with ballooning of spider and ballooning of humans, probably.
Arun, I think that you have a career in in front of you, maybe circus or some like daredevil act. You have some really big plans. I wonder if that would be possible because of the percentage of weight. So the spiders are so light compared to the weight of their silk, compared to the lift necessary to carry them through the air. Then if we compared that to the weight of a human and the size, comparatively, of thread that would be necessary to elevate us, I think it would have to be somewhat huge and heavy. Just thinking.
Yes, I think it is correct, right? So I forgot, but the size of a spider is on the order of like 10 milligrams or something. Charbel, feel free to correct me.
Yeah,
Whereas,
that's correct.
right, like whereas we weight like like a tens of kilograms. Now, what is the length of a spider silk? It could be several meters, like tens of meters or so. Now, that can elevate. So for 10 milligram, let's say I need spider silk of 10 meter length, right? Now imagine to elevate somebody that's 100 kilogram, like 10. What is the how much? What is the length of spider silk that we need? That's gonna be like almost like a 10,000, 100,000 meter, right? Like that, then we are way past the Earth's atmosphere and somewhere else. So we can do these analysis. We can actually theoretically calculate, but then we will be hit by the limit that our Earth atmosphere is only uh, so high, right? So Earth's atmospheric field that has a well-defined electric field. We can't really do much with that. So if I want to have that long of a spider silk trying to fly, I think it's just impossible unless we can do something with the Earth's electric field, which is impossible itself.
I have a final random question. Do the spiders anchor themselves until it is time to launch through silk or anything else?
So I think the spiders will, uh, by launching, so it will it will create silk threads, and when it is time to launch, it will create silk thread, and it'll start its flight. Uh, so by anchoring, without any silk thread, it doesn't move anywhere, right? So if it's a calm day and then it's just sitting there, then it is automatically anchored without itself doing anything extra. Then when it decides to fly, it will just shoot out these silk threads using some mechanism that I guess nobody knows for sure how it creates these type of things, and it'll start to fly.
So it doesn't sit there for an hour waiting for the right time. It's deployment basically on demand.
We could say that we do not know for sure, right? I mean, like it could be that, well, it's regardless of whether it knows when to deploy or not, it will sit there, and then it'll deploy its silk, and then it'll start flying. Now, does it decide that, okay, this is the right time for me to fly? I don't think we know for sure how that happens.
I mean, could the spider could the spider deploy its silk up till a few meters? Is it possible? I mean, what is the distance, the farthest distance until which it can deploy the silk? Is it a few meters?
Yeah, it could be a
Is
few
it mean at
meters.
one go? Is it at one go?
Excuse me?
I mean, is it at one go? I mean, how? I mean, this deployment of silk for let's say a few meters. Is it at one go? Does it do it at one go, or is it like spinning the cobweb? It would actually I mean, deploy this silk for a few centimeters and then go along? How I don't know. Probably
Yeah,
my
so
knowledge about this is naive. Please.
I I don't know exactly how it's done, but what I know is that these few meters long silk threads are released like uh, how to say, like very quickly, and what happens like before ballooning, so the spider will first release a drag thread which is attached to let's say if he is sitting on the tree branch, so it will attach a silk thread to this branch. Then it will release several silk threads into the air, waiting for the conditions to be met for the ballooning. So once the conditions, so I don't know how the spider will decide, but sensing the what's happening in the environment, once the conditions are met for the ballooning, the spider will like cut the silk, the drag silk thread which attaches it to the ground or to the tree branch, and then so that he can balloon. So I forgot to say that in the previous discussion.
So I have a question. So the sorry, I just started reading the paper right now and came in really late just now. Just started reading the paper. So I just want to know that the whether when I suppose that the spider will uh, release the thread and probably because the thermal uh, draft. The well, okay, maybe the thread is first of all. I guess you're saying that it is using the electric potential, the electric field of the atmosphere. So there is already a electric field in the atmosphere, uh, and then it just lengthens the thread. Uh, is it assuming that the density of the charge along the length uh, per per length the lengthwise density charge density is constant, and then so long as the uh, it raises or releases the thread, there are more charges going to be released into the into presumably it's a negative charge, excess electron. Is that right?
Yes, so that's what happens. So when these threads are released, so due to the friction, they will be negatively charged. So they will have opposite charge relative to the Earth's electric field, and that's what causes them to balloon to drift upward.
So basically, so negative charge, and then because the non-uniformity of the uh, atmospheric field, is that correct? Uh, is that right?
The non-uniformity of the Earth's electric field, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is it?
exactly. So
Let's say.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
you have a gradient in the electric field, so it's not uniform. So it will.
Okay. So basically, the charge, because supposedly, if it is uniform, then there's no movement, right? Because the positive charge is, unless you can't get rid of the positive charge, let's say ground the spider on the ground, and then let the positive charge go away, then it just cancels them out, right? So you have to, maybe the electric charge is higher as the height as a function, increasing function of the height of the electric field. The atmospheric electric field is an
Yeah,
increasing function of the
so
height.
yeah, so the Earth's electric field, the gradient will be higher when at the prominences. Like that's why when spiders want to balloon, they will climb to branches, tree branches, or prominences where the electric field gradient is so high there.
Okay, and then so presumably the positive charge is still left in case they're already in the air.
I mean, I suppose that if they're landed, they can let the positive charge instead of accumulating in their body, they can let the kind of ground itself, whatever the depending on, of course, depending on the material. If it is tree dry, and then may not be able to ground themselves. But let's say in a place that it cannot release the positive charge, the positive charge would just accumulate in their body, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So
Okay. So, but then if they can ground themselves, they can fly. They'll have more acceleration. Right?
I wasn't sure about that because the acceleration is zero in this process. Uh, like the so I'm not sure again. Uh, the word acceleration that kind of made me nervous a bit because we know that after the initial effect, after once it has started flying, which lasts for just a few seconds, once it is flying, its velocity more or less
Oh,
remains
so
unchanged,
it
so the
will
acceleration is zero.
so it reaches terminal velocity because of the air
Yeah.
resistance, right? Yeah. Okay. But
Yes.
what I'm saying is that in the ground, when it goes from zero velocity zero to start climbing, there's an acceleration. But I guess that matter not that much, I suppose. The if you yeah and yeah right.
Yes, that is correct. That the initial effect, transient dynamics, as we call it, yeah, that's like that doesn't really matter much over the entire flight of hundreds of kilometers.
So and then it can basically also, I suppose, the reel the silks in if they want to descend. Is that correct?
I don't think that happens. It's an interesting question. Like, yeah, how does a spider, if it goes up, then how does it come down? I mean, yes, if somehow it cuts
Or
off
maybe
its
yeah, it
silk,
could cut
then
just bite it off and then just fall. Yeah, I guess yeah.
yeah, I think that sounds more plausible. But I'm just guessing here. I don't know exactly what happens.
Yeah, I don't think,
Very interesting
sorry,
question.
I don't think they're capable of reeling it in. I think they're only capable of exuding. So then I wonder if the silk has what do you call it? A lifespan, like a given each, if the silk has a given lifespan, because that would render it would maybe neutralize the charge, the field, like maybe it's only possible of carrying a charge for a certain amount of time until maybe it soaks up water, or something happens to change it, or
So,
it disintegrates.
so I'm sorry, Victor. So they cannot reel it in, but they can eat up the silk to then recycle it, basically, and they can do it very fast, actually. And that's how they retract it. They eat it up, basically.
And then also if the when the charges accumulates in the body, then it's going to be harder to the positive charge accumulate in the body. Then it'll be harder to get more, even if they just move to use more soak. It will be harder to get the same length electrically charged, right? So there must be a limit or something.
Yeah, I guess so. I think so. Yeah, but I'm not so sure. And I don't know if anybody knows these things for sure.
Yeah, thank you for all the great questions. I wanted to check in. If there are any more questions from the audience, please raise your hand. And Dr. Mariam, I know you just joined. I don't know if you had the question. Um, if not, I would say that we can maybe slowly close down the room, and we can always have another day of discussion and invite you sometime again if you would be open to it.
Thank you, Katerina. And, sorry for joining late, guys. I'm in the UK and it's 2:30 a.m. over here. So, it's, yeah, I had slept off, but, I could see it's a really interesting topic. Sorry, I missed it, but thank goodness for replays. So I will be listening to the replays, and if I have any questions, I will forward them to the speakers through you, Katerina, if that's okay. Thank you.
Just a small correction
Thank
here. Yeah, just a small correction here. The charge that is like that is developed on the silk, or I don't know where it is. It is negative charge, and the Earth's atmosphere or the Earth's field is negative. And since like similar charges repel each other, so that is how they fly. It is not plus minus; it is minus minus. Thank you.
What do you mean? Can you explain a little bit? What do you mean by plasma? Is that you're talking about the atmospheric
Yeah, yeah.
field,
I mean,
or the?
Electrical
I'm talking
charges.
about how are they able to fly? How are they able to fly using this? I mean, the electric charge of Earth, right? So I mean, there is a charge that is developed on the spider, which is which is negative in nature, and the Earth's atmosphere or the Earth's field is also negative, and negative minus minus actually, uh, they did not attract a repel. So because of this repulsion, they are further pushed away from the Earth's atmosphere. That is how they are able to fly.
Well, but that I think that the authors have already said that there's an external electric field in the atmosphere. Of course, I mean it will have to field has to be generated by charge distribution. Yeah. So yeah. What I mean, is that what you're talking about? How the field is generated?
No, no, I think somebody in this room had said that it is plus and minus, and because of this attraction, we are able to fly. I just wanted to correct that, just for the sake of everyone. Thank you.
so this is what the paper is all about, Varun. So please, before you try to maybe correct the speakers, maybe frame it into a question, since they are our experts that we invited about in the subject. So if you didn't understand, maybe frame it into a question. Okay? So yeah, thank you.
I think it's relevant. The you can always Google, right? So the relevancy is already provided in the reference in the paper gracefully provided by the authors, and there's also in the chat rooms yeah, that was the first few questions that when the room started. So again, in summary, that if that's helpful, that I was told that there was a atmospheric field, electricity field set up by the. It's actually a paper at the 19. '03, I believe. It's very old paper. Yeah, I think it's an interesting fact that I pick up from this discussion. Very interesting. So it make me actually think about to be more conscientious of the, there are many driving forces around us that I was ignoring before. Yeah, thank you for the, Karina, for organizing this interesting, inviting the speakers and the very interesting discussion. I just hope that there will be more um, experiments, done to um, uh, verify, whether this field is. There are actually talks on the web that how to harness this atmospheric electricity field.
So I want to just add one point. I just want to add one point here. Uh, it's not just the electric, the negative charge on the thread. There's still positive charge there kept in the body, unless there's the grounding, let the positive charge flow away. It's just the gradient in the field that, like the two authors pointed out, the gradient in the field that made the net force is upward.
Yes, especially the gradient part is very important. That you have to have like a gradient of the electric field, and only then it'll fly. You can actually flip positive negative to negative positive, but still the gradient will is the one that will ultimately let it fly.
But overall, I do have reservations on how stable is this field set up by the air ambience. I mean, the Earth magnetic field, I can see it's very stable. And so yeah, again, I really hope that there's more experiments, just like say any type of fiber shape materials can, as long as can has acquire negative charge by collision with the air molecules and kind of abrasive, uh, acquire negative electrostatic charge, then that shall not be a hard experiment to carry out to verify. But maybe I'm just ignoring that. I haven't seen if there. It would be great to if there's experiments like this to show to to be convincing this actually a stable field, force field, suffice for the spider's biological purpose in this scenario. So I also did a search on the other hypothesis, i.e., the fluid dynamics. I think in their paper they did show that that force is suffice to lift up to kg level of weight. So yeah, so then the remaining question is whether this turbulence airlift is enough for uh, the phenomena observed of travel flying spiders to travel uh, miles and miles. I think probably just the also Katerina mentioned uh, what's the plan, Dalia, the the
Yeah,
spreading seeds by the uh, that
that
dandelion, right?
dandelion,
So
but they are
yeah,
different. Like
dandelions, yeah.
like grass type of that have this similar, very thin. They look like they have things that look like spider silk almost. I don't know if you ever saw them, and they spread through the air and fly up. It's really, if you have allergies, you get scared by the vision if you. Oh,
Pollens, for example, yeah, it can spread. Like, I mean, by to fulfill biological functions, I think it's definitely crucial, right? So that's I think I believe I personally, fascinated by the new facts that pointed out by this paper that there's actually a frame of forces that are around us, and so I think a way of looking at it is like the thunderstorms function like a battery, like driving the current, the charges, distributions, so that when there's a cloud, that the cloud itself, is somehow drives the positive charge to the ground through the uh, uh, circulation of called fair air that through places where there is no thunderstorm. So that's why I mean the author uh, have claimed that the research shall be carried out in the fair air condition where there's an electric field set up, uh, i.e., pointing upwards. That means the negative charge will feel a lift. Again, it's my curiosity to see how stable and how if it is as it's stable as the magnetic the Earth magnetic field, then it definitely participate in the evolution, right? So that'd be significant findings. Just I think this is just true the core of science, right? So that's why it's fascinating to me.
I have a question. I came across a concept which didn't have sufficient scientific evidence, but it was called electrogravitics. The assumption being that I think hydrofoils are an example of this, but basically you have a really thin planar flying object, say a disc shaped boomerang, and it uses electric fields. And I don't know, I don't understand if there was a gradient involved, but essentially leveraging electric fields to be able to fly through the air um, in a way that's it's like electrically assisted propulsion, but I think it was called electrogravitics because the assumption was something about how the mass was reduced. I don't know if anyone could clarify if that's a real thing or not, and if that might have anything to do with the mechanisms here, or if possibly the way that spiders fly could give us a hint into why that wasn't actually electric fields influencing gravitation, but something more along the lines of what happened here. And I'm sorry I missed the earlier part of the presentation, so I'm just trying to read the paper and understand what's happening. But if anyone can clarify, please, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm not sure about the electrogravity. I never heard of that term. Could you clarify that a little bit, please?
So just going to read off of. So electrogravity is claimed to be an unconventional type of anti-gravity force created by an electric field's effect on a mass. Coined in 1920s by Thomas Townsend Brown, who tried to make it a propulsion system but failed. It's a pseudoscience as far as I can tell, but it talks
Yes.
about how yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, go ahead.
sounds like pseudoscience, but okay.
So I think the theory was that electric fields, when manipulated in a certain way, would allow you to reduce the effects of gravity on an object, therefore achieving better lift or propulsion. So I'm just trying to um, so I understand it's probably pseudoscience, but could you please explain, if I'm not being asking for repetition, how exactly the spider flies?
Well, so there is Earth has an electric field, and there is a charge on the silk of the spiders. And because of the gradient in the Earth's electric field, uh, there is a net propulsive force that acts on the spider upward, that essentially enables the spider to fly. What we show is for small spiders, the Earth's electric field is good enough for this flight to happen. If the spider is on the heavier side, then it might need help from wind speed. The Earth atmospheric field may not be enough, but more experiments, physical real world experiments, will need to be done to confirm that case.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for this great discussion. And of course, a special thanks to our guest speakers here today. Thank you for answering all these questions very patiently and for sharing your time and knowledge with us. It was such a great topic and discussion, and you explained it so well that we could understand. So, really appreciate it, and you're welcome any day to come again or participate in our discussions. So, I hope you enjoyed it here at the Science Society, and yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, really appreciate. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for organizing this talk and for everyone. This is the first time in Clubhouse, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you so much. Maybe for next one. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime if you have a project or another project or an update, yeah, join us and share it with us. And yeah, we'll have a recording of this room for everyone that came late. Please check out our recordings. We will also put them on our website and on YouTube and our Spotify account. Yeah, please check that out if you came in late or missed parts of it. Yeah, follow the Science Society. Um, we have more guest speaker events coming up. Let me just tell you the few coming up this week. Tomorrow, Dr. Singupta from Yale University will talk about how neurons find their place during development, a recent publication. And then we'll have the team of Dr. Bzdok. They did the biggest study so far with over 6,000 test subjects, trips and neurotransmitters, the biggest psychedelic study that was ever made. And then on Thursday, we have Dr. Liu from Penn State. He is actually the founder of a whole NSF institute. So he's a very accomplished physicist, and he developed a new theory of entropy solving material design. And yeah, so please follow our club if you like discussions like this. And again, thank you so much for special guests here today. And thanks everyone for the great questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll close the room in 3, 2, 1. Bye everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Charbel, Khalid, Katarina, everyone.